I love the Marine Corps. I just think it's a really bad place to go if you want to be great in the long-term military. The promotions are slow. The environment is crappy. There's no money for training, and they make you do a lot of dumb stuff. Okay, like the Marine Corps is like a cult. But if all you want to do is be a Marine, go ahead. They're the worst people to have show up in your backyard. They're killers. I love the Marine Corps. I'm just saying it's a really bad place to go for opportunity.
Yeah, I fully agree with everything you say. I think that I think that in a wartime scenario, like post 9/11 in Fallujah, Ramadi, Iraq type situation, if you want to go kick indoors and throw grenades into buildings and shit, there's no better place to be. If you want to, put warheads on foreheads in a real wartime scenario, go join the Marine Corps, the Grunts. That's the quickest way to get into combat.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and a lot of it. I got dudes that did
and
four
a lot of it.
years with 3 combat deployments.
Yeah, I mean, the Marine Corps in Fallujah and Ramadi, from everyone that I've heard, they did the bulk of the heavy lifting there. So, um, you know, that being said, in a peacetime scenario like we are right now, there's no worse place to be. When the Marine Corps doesn't have a war to fight, they start fighting each other. They eat their young. They treat their junior enlisted like dog shit. I know you say this a lot, but this is coming from me. I was in the Marine Corps for 4 years during peacetime. I was a grunt. I've been there, done that. I know what it's like. You're not going to see action. You're going to get hazed to shit. You're going to hate your life. You're going to love the guys that you go in with. They're your brothers. And, a lot of the guys I still talk to nowadays, and it's been 4 years since I've been in. So, but like you
So you
said,
went in roughly 2016.
I went in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was right when everything was kind of the
Yep.
tail end of everything. The unit that I went to actually just got back from Syria when I went to them, and they didn't even really do anything while they were there. They were pulling security for SOF units that were there. Um, and I thought, I grew up watching all the old Afghanistan videos and stuff, so that's kind of what I thought I was getting into. But um, a little background on me was when I was a kid, I wanted to fly. I wanted to be a pilot first. And that dream kind of slowly shifted into going into special operations. For a long time, I wanted to be a SEAL, like everyone wants to be. And then that kind of changed into just I want to be any kind of special operator. I don't really care, what branch, whatever. I just want to be the guy sneaking in someone's backyard, uh, putting warheads on foreheads. But I went into the recruiting office and I was actually going to go talk to the Navy recruiter, but he wasn't there. It was a Saturday because I was going to talk to him about SEALs. And I was 17 at the time. But the Marine recruiter walked in like literally right as I did. And I'm saying this as a warning to anyone who buys into the same shit I did, where he told me that basically all grunts in the Marine Corps do the same shit that SEALs do. And he told me also, like, you can just go recon also if you want to, do the same shit that SEALs do because they're basically the same thing and they do the same missions. And I'm here to warn anyone thinking of going recon or anything like that. You are not SOCOM. You don't fall under SOCOM. You still fall under Big Marine Corps. You're a Marine at the end of the day. You're not a special operator.
100%. You
Yeah,
are a Marine.
yeah. You're a Marine first before anything. The only thing you can do in the Marine Corps that's special operations is MARSOC, but you still have to be Big Marine Corps first to do that. And you could just there. I told you when I DM'd you if I could go back and do it all over again, what I would have done differently. If I'm talking to young me again, who wanted to be a special operator, I would have done the 18 X-ray contract and gone into SFAS. It's there's no better program for younger guys right now, in my opinion. But there's tons of opportunity. The fail safes that you always talk about. But I've also, during my time, I trained with ODAs a lot in the Marine Corps. And if you want to be a part of like a professional organization, those guys are some professionals. They're the most professional group out of any group I've ever been a part of training wise.
Yep. Yep. Like real dudes understand, grown-ups. That's what I like to say.
Yeah,
Grown-ups, right?
grown-ups.
Like
Yeah.
no BS. Like the SEALs are really young and they got a lot of shenanigans and BS.
Yeah, nowadays especially.
Yeah, and my big deal, like the Marine Corps, like I tell everybody this, and this is the crazy thing that nobody understands. So I got a bunch of dudes hit me up about the Air Force, right? Air
Yeah.
Force TAC Piece is going from 4,400 to 2,000.
Yeah.
And you want to go be a TAC P. Okay. It's a great job, but there's going to be 2,000 of them in the Air Force.
Yeah.
PJs, I think it's 189 active duty PJs right now. That's it.
Those guys are pros, but the statistical likelihood of you getting into that program is like next to zero.
It's 5 out of 100. I just was over at the PJ compound.
Yeah.
Like the train, and I was like, you guys are making 5 out of 100. We're like, yeah, we don't need it now. Like
They're,
5 out
they're
of
great
100.
dudes. They're some of the best guys I've ever, because I worked with them in 29 Palms when I did ITX too. And they were training us on like some high speed medical shit. And they're some of the coolest dudes I've ever worked with. But the odds of you landing a gig with them and passing the training, it's like zero.
It's zero, right? And like
Yeah.
and so it's good that you came on here as a former Marine because a lot of people think like, oh, you're just hating on the Marine Corps. I'm like, look, I don't have no hate for Marine Corps. I love the Marine Corps. I didn't go in the Marine Corps for one reason. I didn't want to deal with all the shenanigans, right? Like the crazy
Yeah.
ass cult behavior in the Marine Corps. Okay, but
Hey, if you want to join the Marine Corps right now and get duct tape between a couple mattresses and thrown off the fourth deck, like that's your business. But that's what
real talk, right? Real talk.
That's what you're joining to do right now.
Yeah.
You're not joining to go shoot people right now.
Nope.
And I'll be real with everyone. Like if you're joining the grunts in the Marine Corps during wartime, that's what you're joining to do. You're joining to go kill people. But during peacetime, Marine Corps kills each other. They start going after each other.
So Dom, let me ask you this question because this is another one that I'm getting ad nauseum. Oh, we're getting ready to go to war with China and Russia. I'm going to be I'll be in the Marine Corps when it happens. What's your take on that statement?
I don't think that we are on the brink of a near peer conflict with China or Russia right now. I think that there's very, very, very slim chance of that. I think that if somebody has that mindset, I think you should be in. I think you should be in an ODA. I think you should go SFAS. I think Ranger Bat's another one that if you're thinking that way of like the possibility of a near peer conflict is right there. I think that going Ranger Bat or SFAS is like just miles ahead of the Marine Corps right now, because those guys will still be first to fight ahead of you.
Yep.
They'll
Yep.
be boots
Like 6, 7, or a year. Think about Iraq and Afghanistan.
Marine Corps wasn't there for another like 2 years before the fight started.
Yeah, absolutely, because it's got to be a full act of aggression. It can't be a little stand up. It can't be like they got to be full war for the Marines to show up.
Yeah, and
right?
I'm not a big promoter of watching war movies to, get your motivation rocks off on, but like 12 Strong, that movie, like those guys were the first there in Afghanistan. They were there right away, and that's ODA. That's Green Berets,
Yep. And the Rangers, they went into Afghanistan on the pullout, right? They were on 24-hour recall. They were gone. Boom.
Yeah.
They're there. And that's the other part that I try to explain to people. The only people getting a phone call are the Rangers and the Green Berets. That's it. The Army.
That's it.
Navy SEALs ain't going to be the first people there.
No, they're too maritime right now.
They ain't going to be the first people there. Ever. Hartwell, I'm going to say this sometimes, but not like like Grenada and Panama, they rolled in there, but everybody else, like Rangers already jumped in.
Yeah.
So, but you're also talking about 2 platoons, 32 people out of 2,500 SEALs got to go play in Panama.
This is to all the guys who are looking to go special operations out there. You're not you're not going with a bunch of average dudes. There's no average dudes there. No average dudes are making it right now.
No, no,
You,
no. I'm gonna say this: no above average dudes are making it.
no, you have to be, you got to be that top one or two guys out of 100 to make it in those programs right now. And if that's you right now, and you are that stud right now who's performing that way, my my advice from the inside, who's worked with like almost all these units in training scenarios and talk to them about what they're doing right now, is Green Berets are doing the lion's share of everything right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. They're going on deployment. I just talked to a Green Beret this morning. Just had
Yeah.
a long conversation with my buddy out on the West Coast, man. And they're getting ready to go do a pump. And he's like, yeah, it's 50-50 whether we get in it. Right? Like
Yeah.
they're going to a region that has some conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, we're training right now, And then he's like, we're going on some great deployments. He said, but we're always working with people, but we're always like embedded with people that are in trouble. We're not ever embedded with people that are just kind of sitting in a tent hanging out.
Yeah.
So,
But they also say this. My platoon commanders, when I was in my unit, I had 3 platoon commanders who were these guys were studs in my book. They were, top of the line Marine officers, and they all were considering giving up their commission and going regular Army enlisting to go to Ranger Bat.
mm-hmm. So let me
They
ask
were
you this: how many guys in the Marine Corps did you know that went over to the Army?
oh,
Either
a lot,
to a
I
lot
would
of
say I would say out of my original company, which is like maybe 150 Marines or so, I would say maybe a third of them went Army after they got out.
mm-hmm.
I wanted nothing to do with the military after I got out, but the guys who still had that itch, they all went Army afterwards.
Have you talked to any of those guys over in the Army?
Yeah, I talked to a couple of them. Yeah,
And what they say?
they said that a couple of them they wish they would have just stayed out, but there are the rest of them that said that I wish I would have just done this from the get-go, because they said that they got promoted way faster. A couple of them got bonuses as soon as they signed on. Like you walk into the Army office and you ask for a sign-on bonus, you could probably get it. You go into the Marine Corps office and you ask for a sign-on bonus, they're going to laugh at you while you walk out the door.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're not getting it,
Yeah, they're trying to sell you bloody stripes as the
Yeah.
like that pair of pants right there may be the most important pair of pants you've ever had in your life. But
When
yeah,
I walked, my recruiter, he pointed to his Eagle Golden Anchor on his hat, and he was like, I can't give you a sign-on bonus like the Army guys and the Air Force guys and the Navy guys, but I can give you that. And to me as a kid, I'm like, oh, that's so badass. These guys are the hardest motherfuckers out there. Nope. That was a lie.
nope. They just the slowest promoting, no bullet having, crappy gear having, no resources, no good deployments. Right? You floating boats right now for deployments, correct?
I was on a ship for my pump for about a year and a half, or sorry, not a year and a half, a month and a half total out of the 6-month deployment. I went to Japan, floating on a ship, nothing to do but lift weights, watch the same fucking movies on repeat, and hang out with Navy fucking sailors all day. It was miserable.
Absolutely. Whereas you go in the Army and you don't make it through AFAS, or you don't make it through, RASP, you're going to a line unit, and then a year from now, you can go back.
Yeah, you can try again.
You can go back.
You can't do that with buds nowadays either. You can't try again in buds. I heard, I was listening to one of your older videos, and there was some kid talking about with buds, oh, well, if I fail, I can go back. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no, you can't go back anymore. They're not letting you.
They're closing year groups almost the next year.
Yeah.
So I just had a kid that's trying to go back. Like he's been out 2 years. They told him, nope, you're a machinist, mate, and your rate is closed. You're not going.
Yeah.
So he's like asking me what I should do. I got 6-year enlistment. Say, hey, brother, I hate to tell you this. You better be training and trying to go in the Army, because if you go back to buds at 26, 27, you can do it. I did it at 27, but it's just a bad look, man. Like you're not gonna get back there. Like you're not gonna be able to. So the other thing they're having problems with, they're trying to get out and then get a Buds contract. They're like, oh no, you're a prior like enlisted. Like we're not gonna let you go to Buds.
Yeah.
And then
You're,
obviously the downside of not going, you're chipping paint.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, you are 100%. And chip and paint in the Navy is worse than chip and paint, like, in the other branches, in my opinion,
I
because
had
I'm not,
I had two divisions of chip and paint, brother. I'm telling
yeah.
you right now. Now I was like, man, what is this chipping? They kept talking about chipping paint with a chipping gun. Man, they gave me the needle gun. I said, oh my God, like 10 hours a day, right? Underway. We working 8, 9 hours a day, just chipping paint, painting. I'm like, what are we doing, man? Like this is like
It fucking miserable. Being on a ship, it's so miserable. I'm telling all the guys who are thinking about going Navy to go do SEAL shit right now, it's go Army. Go Army, go to SFAS, go to RASP. You want to be a pipe hitter, go RASP. Those guys are fucking pipe hitters.
oh,
If
absolutely.
if you're
Absolutely. I mean, and they're, that's the cool thing about that. Like you can be young dude. They got a ton of young dudes in the Ranger bat. Ton of young
yeah,
dudes, right?
RASP, young man's game. Like
Yeah.
that
But like
is
even that, man, I was with a Ranger when I was doing SOCOM athlete. There was a Ranger there. We were talking about it, man. Like cats don't understand. Like I try to explain to people, like if I had my perfect kind of timeline, high school kid come out, go work construction for 2 years, go in the
yeah.
army at 20. Okay. Going to army at 20 because that 2 years is going to help you mature a lot and you're going to be more physically and tougher, right? Like you want to work construction for 2 years. But we got all these young dudes because, like my dude was saying, like, Jake in the Ranger video I shot, 1 out of 5 dudes that he showed up with was there a year later. Because you're not mature enough to live the lifestyle that you got to be able to live to stay in the Ranger bat, right? Like you got to be training on Saturdays and Sundays. You got to go in early and take care of your gear. But
Those guys are trying to kick you out of Ranger Bat when you're
yeah,
in there.
but when you're a 21-year-old, it's hard, man. It's when
Yeah.
you're a 19-year-old, 18-year-old, you just been out of the house for the first time and it's Saturday morning, you need to go get your gear straight. You're like, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. And then you'll say, oh, I'll take care of it on Monday. You show up, your shit ain't right,
Yeah. You're out.
you're
Too
gone.
many people want to do it nowadays for you to be, just kind of floating under the radar. It's not like they're churning through guys like we're in a wartime scenario. Too many people are competitive right now for you to be just sitting around.
Talk to me
So,
about the promotions in the Marine Corps.
so when I got in, I went in E1. When I graduated infantry training battalion, it was total of like 6 months time, from when I first went in to when I graduated infantry training battalion. And I got promoted to E2 then. And then I didn't pick up Lance Corporal E3 until I want to say like a year later.
Mm,
Uh,
like 18 months.
yeah. And then after that, to pick up Corporal, I didn't pick up Corporal until like my 3 year mark. I only had like a year left on my contract. And
Mm.
I picked up Corporal before like all my peers because I had good PT scores and good pros and cons ratings. I was above my peers in all of my
And it took you 3 years to make E4.
yeah. When I picked up before everyone else, they were surprised, and that's just because I had a good cutting score. But that was fast for me, like really fast. In the
And I
Marine
and
Corps,
I and I've seen a year and a half E4s in the Navy, or even a year E4s in the Navy.
oh yeah, and even I'll say this too. Nowadays, with the new commandant's guidance for the Marine Corps, there's no picking up E5 in your first term. It's not even allowed unless it's meritorious. Yeah,
So you're gonna do a 4-year term and you can't make E5.
you can't
Oh,
make. Nope.
yeah, but see, hey, that's the Marine Corps, right?
They want you to re up for it. If you
That's
re up,
right. They
because
want you to sign up for another 4 years.
the Marine Corps has the highest first term turnover rate out of any branches, like by a long shot. They've got this overwhelming amount of juniors who get out after their 4 years because they treat them like dog shit, and then they get out and they go Army or something else, and then they wish they would have just done that from the get go.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Which is crazy, right? Like that's the part that I try to explain to people, man. Like you want to go do something, but at the end of the day, you're looking like I'm looking out for myself. Like I need to get paid. I'm going in the military. Why would I go into a unit? Why would I go into the Marine Corps when after 4 years I'm still in E4? When if I went in the Army after 4 years, you can be an E6. Now that's really fast. You had to kick ass. Definitely in 5 years, you can make E6 in the Army. Okay. I had a,
That's that'd be
I had a I had a chief in my ship that made chief in 8 years. He was a
yeah,
genius.
that's impossible in the Marine Corps. There are guys that
Oh,
I with that were my squad leaders who what they did reenlist, and I still keep in touch with them. And one of them who was, I mean, this guy is just a top notch Marine, like stud. He is getting out after 10 years and he just picked up E6. Just
E6.
did.
Just picked up E6 at 10 years.
And
And you're saying he was a bad mamma jamma.
he was a bad.
And see, that's what I'm saying, Dom. I'm glad you on here, man, because I'm trying to explain to people like you're competing against pros to make E5 in the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
Right? Because only the best people are staying in because they think they have a shot. So now you're competing against real dudes to make E5. We're not even talking about E6 or E7 or
Yeah.
E8. We're just talking about the baseline. Can I
Yep.
get to E5?
The
Right?
guy the guys that stay in the Marine Corps, like you said, that's the cream of the crop that the Marine Corps has to offer. Those guys are the studs, and they aren't, like I said, they aren't picking up E6 for a long time. You
Yeah.
got to go do SDA most likely nowadays, which is recruiter, drill instructor, or combat instructor, or some shit like that. You got to do your SDA before you pick up E6 right now.
Mm, mm, mm. Just dogging you. Because dog, I'm gonna tell you, you want some hard duty? Go work at intake, right? Go
Yeah,
work at boot camp. Them
go
dudes
be
pulling hours.
the TIs. They live, they eat, sleep, and shit slaying recruits all day. That's all they do. Like, I mean, you think recruits have it hard in boot camp, which boot camp is fucking easy, but recruits think they have it hard. Those DIs are with them 24 fucking 7, busting their ass all the time. You got to do that before you pick up E6 in the Marine Corps.
Get you some of that craziness. What are you
Yeah.
doing now, Dom?
So I got out, and before I was in, I was working with the family business. We do landscaping, hardscaping, all that stuff. When I got out at first, I started going to school a little bit in my last couple months when I was getting out. So I got a head start on my degree, and then I went back to the family business for a bit. But I kind of decided to go back to that original dream that I had of flying. And I started going to flight school out here. So that's kind of what I'm doing now. I just finished my commercial license, so now I'm working on getting my CFI rating so that I can start building hours and instruct and all that. So and then
What
obviously the airlines. So
you want to go straight to the airlines, or you want to go back in the military and fly?
I want to go straight to the airlines.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where it's where the money is. So I
Uh,
got
uh,
to.
how you got to get to 1,500 hours, right?
Yeah, so typically most instructors they instruct for about 2 years. Right now it's getting longer
Yep.
because post COVID there was this big hiring boom. Now it's back down again, a little bit quieter. So you got to get, if anyone's interested in becoming a pilot, multi-engine time is super valuable right now. On the this is coming from the civilian training side of things. And that college degree is it's not required, but it's kind of looking like it's going to be back that way.
Yeah,
So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. Now the good thing is in the pilot community, you don't need a degree, but you got to
no,
pay for the $120,000 of training.
yeah, you do.
Right? And then once you get your CFI, like you're saying, you ride CFI for 400 hours, 500 hours. Then you go get a regional job, right? You go fly regional Can Airs or whatever, and you're
Yeah,
gonna you're gonna do that for 3 years, and then you're gonna get to 1,500 hours. You're gonna start applying to the big boys, and so that's the process. But I mean, that regional job ain't paying you but 50 a year, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be paying. So I think most of those like Ameriflight and places like that, they're gonna pay about $40 an hour, which in the airline community, you can basically just put 3 zeros behind the hourly rate, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what per year. So you start as an FO making about 40 grand a year. And then, it goes up if you make captain for one of those smaller, we call them Part 135 charters. Yeah, I think you can make, if you're kind of approaching that 1,500 hour mark, you can make around like 80 grand at the top end.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Before you make the jump into 737s, right? Like,
yeah, or you go to like SkyWest or something like that, or a low cost carrier like Spirit or Frontier.
okay,
So
what about going to China on them big contracts? I know you know about that in Oregon. I know you know about going to China on the big contracts.
yeah, so the big European carriers, they're not even going to look at you until you have turbine time. So
Okay.
that's a big thing. They're not even going to look at your shit until you've got turbine time. Turbine time is super valuable. Obviously, the only way you can get it is by going to an airline first airline that'll take you. People are they're the boomer pilots out there will tell you never sign a contract, never work for someone for X amount of time. Me, I'm used to contracts now from the military, and I'm like, hey, right now beggars can't be choosers. You got to get your hours.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the big thing. But if you want like the tippy top end of the pay scale, like if that's your end goal, believe it or not, right now the tippy top end of the pay scale is flying for one of the three legacies here in the States. It's going to be Delta, American, or United, and you got to fly the wide bodies. You got to fly
Well,
the internet.
but what about like, I mean, dude, I'm just telling you, I got a bunch of pilots, man. And I was asking them about going to China because you're making like 800,000 on an 8 month contract in China.
Yeah, so I think that I think I know what you're talking about, and I think that that's true. It's just a matter of, for me, because I've got a family too. It's like, do I want to live in China? Do I want to bring the whole family over there? Because you're going to be based over there. So it's like, do you want to go fly for Cathay, flying just wide bodies international? But yeah, if that's what you want, then sure, you can go for it.
I got a couple mercenaries, bro. 52-year-old mercenaries that never got married, never had no kids. One
Yeah,
dude flew for the Russian oligarch. He had to get out of there. I said, "Why'd you leave?" He said, "Jake, I got shot at too many times, man. Too many times I'm flying home under 10,000 feet because we have bullet holes in the plane." I'm like, "Really?"
yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, really." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Now he flying for UPS. So,
Um, yeah, my end goal is to probably fly for one of the legacies here. The wide body scale right now is looking to be about, at the tippy top end, it's like 450 a year. That's kind of what you're looking. Also for pilot guys out there, if you want the job that's going to pay you a shitload of money to do relatively nothing, it's the guys who train the guys coming in on the sims. Those guys make bank, and they don't really fly at all. You got a good like work life balance doing that too, and they make what the wide body guys make. In the Marine Corps, I went to a couple programs, and for the Marine Corps Scout Sniper and Doc and all that. And I would say, to the guys out there who are trying, young guys, young kids, like who are fresh out of high